Okay, my final wonderful thing this week is a poem.
Okay.
It is a poem by Lee Young Lee. It's from his first collection of poems, which is called Rose and was published in 1986. The reason I picked the first collection of poems, Rose, is that I totally fell in love with it when I was in grad school. It's one of those books of poetry where almost every poem in it was my favorite.
Forgive my ignorance because you know me, like I don't know a whole lot about poetry. Is Lee Young Lee a particularly widely spread celebrated poet, or is it sort of an underground jammer?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
He has been in the game for a while. I believe he teaches. Yeah, I'm not aware that he's still writing today. I guess his last book came out in 2008, so it's been a while.
Maybe he's just prepping for that big. Hey babe, 2008 was a decade ago. Wild, bro. Wild, dude.
Griffin, I'm getting in my poetry corner right now.
I'm over here. Can I not do...
It's really hard for me...
Can I not do that?
To have you in your
We are going to
DJ
go
noise.
Enroll in a night school class on how to make the DJ noise. We are going to have an episode that is just us face-to-face practicing the DJ noise. Because I just went like...
Yeah. And me, I go like... Bow, 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 bow,
which is
not anything. Anyway.
Lee Young Lee. Oh, God, I'm so far away from the poetry corner. I need to get back in.
I know.
Let me scoot my chair closer. That's my chair scraping across the ground.
People love when we do sound effects.
So, is a poem?
So I was going to read the whole poem, if that's okay. It's only 4 stanzas.
Okay. I don't know. That could mean anything, but okay.
A stanza is like a paragraph.
Sure.
But stanzas are typically shorter.
I know that word from church, actually, from like hymns and stuff, because hymns are typically separate. I mean, all music is probably separated into stanzas. I don't know. But we had a minister of music who had this very dramatic way of announcing where in the hymn, because you don't always sing the whole hymn. Like some hymns are like 8 stanzas long and it gets a little long in the tooth. So he'd tell you where to hop in, and he would do so by you'd sing a stanza and he'd go, 4th stanza every Sunday, like several times a Sunday. 3rd stanza. Can you announce the stanzas?
Yeah, that doesn't really happen in poetry. That would really throw off
God, I walked
reading.
away from the poetry corner again. I went to the church corner. I'm walking back.
It's very sticky.
There's a lot of syrup on the floor. I had a pancake accident. Again.
Are you referencing the pancake accident you had with our cat?
Oh, it was a waffle
That
accident
was a
on
waffle
the cat.
accident.
I dropped a waffle of syrup. Can we read a poetry?
This poem is called From Blossoms. From blossoms comes this brown paper bag of peaches we bought from the joy at the bend in the road where we turned toward signs painted peaches. From laden boughs, from hands, from sweet fellowship in the bins, comes nectar at the roadside, succulent peaches we devour, dusty skin and all, comes the familiar dust of summer, dust we eat. Oh, to take what we love inside, to carry within us an orchard, to eat not only the skin, but the shade, not only the sugar, but the days, to hold the fruit in our hands, adore it, then bite into the round jubilance of peach. There are days we live as if death were nowhere in the background, from joy to joy to joy, from wing to wing, from blossom to impossible blossom, to sweet impossible blossom.
That is very good.
Isn't that beautiful?
I love when you bring poetry to the show because I feel like I'm legitimately getting an education, and I'm not being coy when I say that. Like, I hear that poem and obviously I feel like I lack the language to really dissect it necessarily, but I get why you fell in love with it, which is interesting.
Yeah. So one of the first poems I loved was The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams.
Okay.
Which is the So Much Depends Upon a Red Wheelbarrow. Yeah. It's very short. And it's this kind of kernel of a very simple idea kind of telescoping out into this great, profound, statement about life or existence.
You know what poem this one reminded me of?
What?
Is the plums. I ate your plums one, because that one also had a fruit in it. Oh, took me a while to figure out why it clicked with me.
That's also William Carlos Williams. He wrote a lot about.
Well, I like this one better because this one doesn't make you feel guilty for eating the fruit. Is there a poem about apples?
I'm sure there is.
Okay.
So anyway, so this poem kind of starts out with what I consider kind of your basic poem thing, like, oh, you ate some really good peaches. But there's this turn right in the middle that kind of pops off with the "to carry within us an orchard."
That is a very good line.
Oh my gosh, I love that line. This idea that this moment becomes so meaningful when you think about kind of how carefree it is and how much joy is carried in it. And I love that. And Li Young Lee's poems do that over and over and over again. He's really good at kind of capturing this very present, detailed image and then taking it into this kind of profound place. And so I love that was his first book of poems. Like, that poem is so meaty. And all the poems in that book are like it. But yeah, so I wanted to bring that. I find I've never really been intimidated by poetry. I know a lot of people are, because for me, it's like visual art, in that I'm okay if I don't get everything. You know, if I look at a painting or if I read a poem, and
yeah, that's maybe a healthier way to think it, because I can't. Like, for me, if I read a book and I don't understand the context of the book, I get like very frustrated at it, and that's for like prose. Like, if I can't grapple with the meaning of the thing, which is also kind of fucked up, because words and prose is not just a vehicle for meaning, right? It's also like you should enjoy just reading the prose. So like, that's a wrong-headed way of thinking about prose. But in poetry, especially, if I'm like, I don't get it, is it just about it? Or I feel like an idiot because I feel like I'm not dissecting it in the correct way, which is, I feel like the joke of just like, oh boy, that must have been one dang good peach. But at the same time, I think you could boil this poem down into, wow, that was a dang good peach. Am I wrong?
No.
There's obviously a lot more to it than that, but end of the day, let me shorten the poem. What's that poem about, Griffin? Dude ate a great peach.
Griffin and I have had a conversation about the plums in the icebox poem. And I believe it's called This Is Just to Say.
Yeah.
And he was like trying to get me to kind of explain at a fundamental level, like, how does this cross over from an observation into a poem? And I said, well, when I read that poem, I get really horny for plums. And I feel like that's what makes something a poem. If you have an emotional connection, if you are very present when you are reading it, and you feel not just transported, but you are feeling a feeling that is beyond just the initial description of what is being identified. That's, for me, that's a poem. So
this is my thinking is indicative of a lack of education about poetry, because you expect every poem to be like about life and love and death, when sometimes it can be about, you know, a very good plum or a very good peach.
Or there's a lot of bad education out there about poetry.
Yeah.
There's this feeling of, oh, you didn't get it, or, oh, this is what the poet is saying, and, you know, period, end of sentence, close the book. And my thought is, like, if you get anything out of it, you know, that resonates with your experience, or, you know, connects you to something you didn't feel before, there's value in that too. So
this one made me horny for plums, which is weird because it's a peach poem.
It's a peach poem.
It made me horny for plums, and it gave me like a metal taste in my mouth.
Well, stone fruits, you know, there's a similar horniness.
I guess so. That is sort of, they did both pick nasty fruits if you want to get down to it. Why not a wholesome fruit like an orange? Huh? With its chaste rind.
It's beautiful, Griffin.
I can do poetry. It's easy with your chaste rind and dribbling and juices and the weird white part in between. Nobody likes the weird white part in between. I do. Wrap that stuff all over my tongue.
You're walking away from it.
I had it there for a little bit. It's hard to live slam like that.
Yeah, you're getting a little into my name is Griffin, and I'm here to say I like oranges in a major way.
Thank you for bringing that great poem.
Yes, it's incredible. I find a lot of value in the poems that start from a very accessible place and turn into something huge, and that is a great example of that.
Yeah.